a new program which upUgo is bringing to all its customers.
One interesting question I ask from all the parents that what you want your kids to become.
It is very important to any sportsman to do a lot of work on my mental strength.
Mental fitness and understanding that what is important.
What this program is going to look like once we launch it on our catalog.
If happiness is so important, then why it is not coming as a first choice? Sports is the best way in which you can actually see character of people.
We at upUgo strongly believe that sports is a much better enhancer for character building. We are very excited to announce a new program which upUgo is bringing to all its customers, which is mental fitness for children. We've been pondering over this thing for a long time, and we realized that while physical fitness is important, I guess mental fitness also plays a very crucial role in defining our next generation. So very quickly, Dr. Ashish Ambasta, whom some of you have met in the past, is a PhD in happiness at workplaces. He is now the founder of a company called as Happy Plus. They are basically specializing in dealing with complex situations at corporate levels, and they also have a program which is undertaking mental fitness for children who are in their early teens to late teens. So with that objective, we thought we will give you a sneak peek as to what this program is going to look like once we launch it on our catalog. And so without much ado, I will just give the position holder to Dr. Ashish to open the program, and then we will talk about certain aspects.
First of all, I would like to thank all the parents to come over on a Sunday morning. It really shows your character for sure. It's not easy to come get up on a Sunday morning and listen to something, something which is for a lot of us it is important, but something which we are not pursuing it with a lot of intent. It just happens to us, and we are okay with it. So what we wanted to do today is to just talk about how our brain works from a perspective of setting goals, and also focusing on some of the things which we are capable of achieving if we are able to concentrate on that aspect. So these are some of the things, and we would like to keep this entire discussion very practical and talk about how some of the things shapes up in our kids' mind, and what are the implications of that when they are growing up, and also after, once they get into their professional life. So some of these elements we will touch about. I wanted to start with showing you a picture, a little test for all of you. This test is about, it's not something which is difficult, but I'm sure you are going to enjoy it. I'm going to show you a picture, and you have to tell me the number of people who are wearing white coats. Okay, white coat in the picture. And I'll give you around 15 seconds, and you can concentrate on those scientists, and also how exactly they are doing what they are doing. And after that, I would ask you a few questions to really see whether you were able to focus on things which I was trying to tell you. Okay, here is the picture. Okay, we can have the picture off the screen. All right. So how many people were there wearing a coat, a white coat? Who can answer?
6. This is Toshi.
6. Okay. Any other answer from any one of them? Okay, we all agree there are 6 people wearing white coat.
Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
Now I have another question to ask. Can you tell me what was the number of bottles in the picture? Okay. So your silence is, I will assume that you don't know the answer. So I will move on. I would also like to ask how many frames of pictures were there in the room?
I guess 2. I'm not very sure.
Okay. And what's the number of scissors in the experiment room?
No idea.
No idea. Good. So if you don't have an idea, you are a normal person, because that's how it happens, right? Our brain is a very interesting organ. It will focus on what you want it to focus on. Okay, and it actually blurs everything else and makes you look at things which you are wanting to look at. And it's because while our brain, it does a lot of work, but it's also doesn't have too much of capacity to process too many data at one go. So what it does is, it does two things. One is, it makes habits. So you just look at a cue, and then the thoughts comes in your mind and tells you, okay, this is what it is all about. So when you look at old person in poor clothes, immediately the thought will come, he's helpless, or he's a beggar, or something which is primed, you know about it. So that's the shortcut which brains takes. And second is, it also blurs a lot of things around you and makes you concentrate on what you are wanting to concentrate. Now, this is it's an interesting knowledge to have, how our brain operates, because a lot of us, if we focus on few things, it helps us achieve those things. But if you don't focus, and if it is out of your frame, it doesn't even come to our understanding that how exactly we are progressing on that. And character building, or value-based development, or a strengths-based development, is something which falls in this category. One interesting question I ask from all the parents, that what you want your kids to become when they grow up. And earlier, people used to tell me, and this is an experiment, this is something which is been asked from a lot of parents across the globe. And interestingly, people choose many things. So they say, whatever, they can be doctors, engineers, athletes, musician, or sports person, or entrepreneur, or whatever. But the moment you add one more element in the entire question, which is happiness, do you want your kids to be happy? And then majority of parents just move towards that option, and 80% and more people on this particular question say, whatever my kid does, at the end of the day, he or she should be happier, right? Now, the interesting question in front of researchers like us has been that, why, if happiness is so important, then why it is not coming as a first choice, why it is getting blurred? And since it is getting blurred by the brain, that means we are not also pursuing it. And that's why we just lead towards doing things which we feel ultimately will make us happier. So I think with this little experiment, I just wanted to bring together this point, that unless until we focus on something, it's not going to come. And building character of kids, and building an environment in which you can provide right values, can be something like this. So unless until we focus on this, it's not going to come to us. And I personally feel that sports is the best way in which you can actually see character of people and also build it. Because in corporates also, when I deal with selection processes, I always tell the CEOs and the top-notch guys that, the real character of a person comes to the fore when you watch that person play something. Okay, when you have somebody, in the sports field, or in even some game or other, if you ask him or her to play, you'll find that real character of that person coming out. And no wonder why sports and character building has been correlated for so much time. And according to me, I feel if we can in a way combine these two elements together, I think we will have a pretty beautiful future for our kids. So that's where I will stop, Amit, in terms of my opening statements around how I feel about character building and mental fitness.
No, sure, doctor. Thank you. So you are referring to conscious awareness, I believe, and that's important for adults, that's important for children. Just to quote a few examples, very recently, some of you or many of you may have read that our respected Prime Minister has written a personal memo to MS Dhoni. Now, Prime Minister has written such a letter only to two people. One is MS Dhoni and another is Suresh Raina. And incidentally, what he has called out in that letter for MS Dhoni is not applauding him about his game or about his cricket, but he has applauded him for three things. First of it is dependability, and that dependability has been called upon his poise and his composure and his cool headedness. In fact, in a lighter vein, he has said that regardless of the hairstyle you spotted, you always had a cool head. The second thing he has spoken of is his humility or his humble beginnings, and then making it to the pinnacle of sporting success. And hence he says that you are the hope for new India. And the third point which he speaks of is how do you dare to dream when you do not have a legacy? Now, all of these three things are clearly denoting that what is being referred to for MS Dhoni and which will go down in history is not his butterfly shot, which will be, by the way, also there, but more importantly, it is his character. And there are many examples like these. Rafa Nadal, which most of you know, is the tennis icon. In 2019, met with a serious injury in his ankle, and he lost to a unseeded South African player called as Kevin Anderson. And when a reporter asked him that, isn't it humiliating for you to get lost to a unseeded player? And he said, well, look, I do not bother that whom I'm getting lost to. What I'm losing to is to my body. And he said that I'm not chasing the number one position, but what I'm chasing is each time I get onto the court, I'm able to enjoy my game because tennis is my life. So I guess these things are extremely inspiring for us as individuals. And we, with Happy Plus, are trying to bring in elements of these modules in the program, such that we can impart mental fitness and inculcate some of these values. And we at upUgo strongly believe that dealing with failures, dealing with patience, dealing with resilience, fighting out your own limitations, sports is a great segue, and it enables more than education to our mind. And we could be biased here, but we have read literature, we have done our research, and we believe that sports is a much better enhancer for character building. With this as an opening conversation of about 15 minutes, I will now get into the specifics of what is it that we will be trying to do via this program, which upUgo and Happy Plus is going to bring, and then people can take on. And I will hand it over to Dr. Ashish for specifics.
Sure. So before we get into specific, I would like to call upon a couple of more examples. I'm somebody who studies sports quite keenly from a perspective of flow as well as character building. And if you look at the example of Stuart Broad, he's a cricketer whom I really admire. Is the person who was left by English cricket team for the test against West Indies in June, in the last month of the series which happened. And he was extremely frustrated, and he believed that he deserved a spot in the team, and he was much better than the bowlers who were picked up. And he was disappointed. He gave an interview. And English cricket team realized their mistake, and they have already lost that first match of the series, and they got him in the second match, and he won the match single-handedly for the team. And not only he won the match, but also the series was won by 2-1 by English cricket team, and he demonstrated his self-confidence, resilience, as well as the self-belief that what he can do for the team. And this is the same guy whom Yuvraj Singh hit for 6 sixes in one of the World Cups. And Yuvraj, after this performance, came back and accepted on social media. He tweeted about Stuart Broad and said that all of you know, when I talk about Stuart Broad, you only remember those 6 sixes. But I want to bow down to this guy today because he's the one who has, who is the youngest one to have 500 test wickets, which is really a remarkable achievement for somebody like him. And we would like to learn from him the resilience that somebody who has been humiliated by such margin has come back so strongly. So I personally believe that if we can expose our kids towards looking at sports from this particular angle, then a lot of assimilation of knowledge will take place, and that's what we will do in this program. So one is helping you understand what exactly these characters are all about, what, why, and how of it in real life examples. And then with this knowledge, what we are going to do is to give tasks to these kids to demonstrate whether they are having these elements in their life or not. And basis this task, then we will have session around which they can again reflect back. So it's a continuum of knowledge reflection. So if I compress this, the mnemonic is car. So what's the knowledge about this particular character? What's the action I can take? And then what's the reflections I have? And do I have a group of people or somebody who is a coach or a mentor or a colleague? I can share that some of the things which I am seeing, which is coming out to us. So that's one part of how this will be delivered. And the second is, I personally believe that unless and until you make something a habit, you are not going to, take the full advantage of this. So if we believe that character is something which is going to shape our future, kids are going to take more responsibility, and more importantly, they are conscious that when I am doing this, I am actually demonstrating these values. If I am doing this, these are the character traits which is coming in front of us. And we also have tests around what's the character or values these kids have right now from a positive perspective. And can we have a structure around which we can keep building on this on an ongoing basis. So I think the elements around consuming right content, doing right things, right actions, and then reflecting on this on a continuous basis is what we believe will be able to provide right dose of inputs in our supervision, so that kids starts building these character strengths, which is very useful in their life as they go forward. So that's the intent, and that's how we are going to plan it going forward. In fact, one of the first thing we want to do is to teach life skills through sports. Okay,
Right.
and if you break down sports, you can see different facets of life skills in the way sports are played and the way athletes demonstrate their behavior on and off the field. So I think what we are going to do is, say, for example, if we take resilience as one of the character strength, which we want to expose our kids to, then the first session, will be about what exactly we mean by resilience. Okay, it's not big words like, rising from ashes, but it's also about having a mindset that you are actually looking forward towards failures with a mind that I will get up and I will do something which will ensure that I don't fail next time. Anyway, even if I fail, I will have this learning from that failure, and it will make me much better. So I think this is how we will talk about resilience as a concept. Then the right examples. So for example, can I show them a video of somebody like Marwan Attapattu, who took 5 years to make his first 5 international runs, right? And a lot of us would have given up, but this guy came back and became one of the most successful cricketers Sri Lanka has ever produced. And he also went on to captain the Sri Lankan team. Now, stories like this, examples like this, actually is what will create a right sort of thinking pattern in your kids, which will allow them to think that, okay, so waiting for 5 years for the right chance to come in, and also, preparing yourself in the background, thinking that you will still get an opportunity to prove yourself is a form of resilience, right? So one side, we provide them examples, and then, we ask them to come with their examples and talk about it. And then we move to the action piece. So for example, I ran this experiment with kids teaching them resilience, where they have needles in their hand, and they also had, something they have a needle, and they had to run, and they have to put a thread in that needle while they are running, right? And there were 5 needles given to them. So if you have put this one, it's not over. You have to again start putting into something else. Now, the observation which we were trying to have from this experiment was, who is the kid who actually is excited by this competition? Who is this kid who is giving up? And what's the number of attempts the kid has taken before saying that it will not happen with me? Right. And then talking about why you give up on some of the things which is important for you, right? And also habit formation. So for example, if I promise that I'm going to do these 10 things on a particular day, is there a journal, or is there something which you can share with us and say that today's task is done, and I'm looking forward to the next task? So that means if you have done something for 10 days, it has seeped into your mind. It also demonstrates your skill of your discipline, self-awareness, and also your ability to finish what you started for. I think like this, we will have many other actions which will bring forth the current level of thinking process of these kids, along with what they need to do going forward from here. And the interesting part will be, I would also encourage parents to join in these experiments, because that's where you will also be able to see what's the level of values you demonstrate to these kids. At the same time, you have an observation in terms of how exactly your kid is responding to some of these elements which we are putting them through. And then once this is done, then you go back and ask for reflections and give them inputs again with right examples to tell them that what happens when you are building these skills, and what happens when you don't build these skills. And then after a few days, you'll start seeing that change is coming in these kids, because they have done it, experienced it, and are starting to feel that a change is coming in them. So I think that's briefly how this program will look about.
Right. Any thoughts or questions any parent has, or any viewer has here, or any observations to make? Please feel free to come in at this stage.
This is not just in my experience. I've played basketball at, I've played for India hopefuls. I've been in the US. I've tried to play at the highest levels and everything. And there is stuff that sports teaches you, which is actually goes beyond sports, and which is, I think, which is something alluded to but not specifically said. And I think that is a skill that our schools are failing to impart to our kids. And that is something that they're definitely going to need as they step, like if this pandemic has taught us anything, it is that everything that we knew of how our world operates can be thrown out within a split second. Yeah. And the skills that we need to imbibe our kids with are beyond what we teach them in the classroom. We need to, like Dr. Ambasta said, we need to build resilience. We need to build a lot of emotional resilience. We need to build the strength of character, but also physical strength. Yeah. So that they don't shy away from physical work. And I think that, and then the second part, what research has shown is that skills build at the level of failure. So you have to struggle. And when you struggle to get something, and then what you understand from there, that builds skill at a much deeper level. That builds, a solid motor program there. And those things, when we take them from here, when we take, their ability to deal with failure, and not just have fear of failure, for them to understand that failure is something that is okay. And, it's okay to fail so that they can be better. Those things are going to be increasingly important as we go on into this uncharted world that we are going to leave for our kids. So this program becomes even more important in light of such issues.
This is what I wanted to say, that in India, a student has to choose between his studies and sports. So it's not always easy to continue with sports and at the same time devote that much time to studies. So if a person has to build his resilience, there should be some other hobbies too, like you said, singing, cooking. maybe that will also inculcate the values of competition and happiness in a kid.
So one of the examples I'll give of my kid, who I saw in earlier growing up years, was interested in building, puzzles, right? And he started with 30 blocks. I used to see him getting immersed in that, and then 30 became 50, 50 became 100, 100 became 200, 200 became 500. But the passion with which he sits and makes actually demonstrate a lot of character strengths. Like you want to do something, you are not giving up in between. You want to follow up, and then his intent and our togetherness as a parent also makes a lot of difference, because it's communicated to that person that we are there with you and we are helping you and we are appreciating that effort you are putting it in. Because he may not become a world champion in making puzzles, but what skill he is learning will demonstrate, or it will come forward when he faces the real life situations, when he has to stick to something and don't give up in between. So I think that's what we are trying to say, that how do you expose kids to more of such environments where they know what they are good at, and then don't leave it in halfway if you're talking about resilience or character building.
I mean, just one quick one. I think Dr. Ashish, you hit the nail. I wanted to make that point. As parents, we always reward success and achievement, but we don't give due credit to the effort put into achieving that.
Yeah.
We most of us being from that corporate, we always value the output and the results that are given, but not the journey towards that result. So as a kid, for a kid, the journey to the result is pretty important, because that's where his or her emotional intelligence, his resilience, all that is building up. So looking at that and giving a pat on the back for that effort is also equally important.
That we should definitely give importance to the effort put in by the child, because he or she also wants to prove to their parents that they are doing equally, contributing to what is expecting, and they want to fulfill their dreams, what they have for themselves. So we should definitely encourage in their journey, and then whatever is the result, we should keep on encouraging them.
I will. Just one more point. I think there's a good discussion which is going on, and which is one of the most interesting topic for me. I think we as a parents, most of the time, or as an individual, most of the time, fail to describe the success. There is only one word champion in any sports, in any athletics, and all. That doesn't mean that X minus one all are not successful.
Great point.
Right. So that is what puts the pressure, because we look at that output, that particular output which we dream about, which can be achieved at an age of 16, 17, 18, 20, 24 or 30. We start pushing our kid that, if Usain Bolt can run in this much second and you are running 13 second at the age of 7, you have lot of to cover. No. Compare and decide what is success. It is steps. Right. So I don't know, Dr. Ashish, but you are nodding, because that's what I have seen. We always say that, you have done a great job, but you did not do this. You did not do this is what defines success, small steps of success for the kid. Because the motivation of success is the biggest motivator, I can tell you.
Yeah. In fact, if you give me an opportunity, I will design a course on how to fail more. Okay, let's fail together, because failures are far better teacher than successes. Because when success comes, you realize that everything is good and you are on the top of the world, and you don't put so much effort in yourself. But when you fail and have a right mindset, and that's where character building is important, then you love failures and you say, okay, unless until I fail, how I can reach where I want to reach. And then destination is there, but then journey. That's something which a lot of us forget as parents, that kids also have life, they have a journey, and they should do what they want to do with the way I look at character building is like आपकी नींव है वो, अगर नींव सही है तो आप कितनी भी बड़ी बिल्डिंग बना सकते हैं, but अगर नींव सही नहीं है, then you will falter at even if you have for the world you are successful, and that's why a lot of actors, athletes, they are successful, right? But under say they feel very empty, right? And that's not the life we want our kids to live. So you are successful in your own eyes, but you are building your life on a solid foundation, and that foundation is your character, that foundation is your values, and that foundation is how you look at life. That's how I will explain this entire program about.
Yeah, exactly. You gave a very good, Dr. Ashish, you gave a very good example of Stuart Broad. Because when he was hit for 6 sixes, everyone was talking about that his career is gone. He will never come back to English team again.
Yeah.
And the rest all is history. We know what he's doing today.
Dr. Ashish, I have pulled up a few pages where you had once explained us that how this program is going to look like, what will be the learning objectives. So if it's all right, I can, for the benefit of parents, maybe quickly browse through these, if that's all right with you. So you can maybe navigate them, and I will have these pages roll forward.
Right. So this is just a summation of what we spoke about, that can we find a way in which kids can be interested in this subject, and they carry out various activities under our guidance, so which we can give feedback around. And these are the skills which they continue to use throughout their life. And this should be a program where they should look forward to come happily, and they should be positive, and they should be optimistic about what they are learning. So I think for these kids, and remember, we are talking about 10 to 16 years, right? This is a very strong, neither the kids are very small or not, they are very big. In fact, one of the things I will also talk about, the frontal cortex, which is responsible for our critical thinking, is the last thing which develops in our brain, right? And the centers for enjoyment, fun, and other elements comes first. So just imagine a car which you can accelerate, but you cannot put brakes on. What will happen? So similar thing is with 10 to 16 years. They can enjoy where the they know where the fun is. But they don't have the thinking patterns coming into it, and that's where this age group becomes very, very critical. So Amit, we can move forward in terms of, if these are the examples when we talk about that. If you talk of mental toughness, be it any video of MS Dhoni or Rohit Sharma with whom they can relate to, or even
strength plays a very huge part in any sport. So does in cricket, because plays a huge part. They say it's 70% in your head and 30% skill. So that says it all. So I think you need to be mentally strong to overcome a lot of challenges. When you play this game, I can talk about a lot of examples, but I think the one which stands out for me is the Test cricket. It really tests your character, and so does your mental strength as well, because you need to play. It doesn't come that easy in Test cricket. So I think that's when your mental strength will be tested. So I think it is very important to any sportsman. I do a lot of work on my mental strength. There are a lot of people in India who help me doing this. So yeah, I think I probably stand in the best of my career right now. So my mental strength is what has gotten me here, and it will take me way up higher if I continue to work on it. I know how important it is in anyone's career. So yes, you as a cricketer, yes, it is very important.
In fact, whenever for my own learning, I always look at press conference of sports people, because that's something which teaches me a lot about how they think, both pre and post. So on the previous day, they will say, okay, we want to win. And most importantly, those captains or those players who have lost, I want to check how exactly they are responding to the losses which they have. And I think that's a great learning in itself, because the way the character comes up, or the way they take things into stride, I think there are a lot of things to learn. And I'm not talking only about one or two players, but across every athlete which is playing at the highest level. You should just listen to the speeches which they give, especially when they have lost. So I think that's something which we should be encouraging our kids to look at. So if
that is also true, sorry, and in fact that is also true for, and many people on this call, like Sunil, Mukesh, and maybe Amitoj, who has worked in Microsoft, will relate to it, as that most of the people in corporates also, when they talk about, let's say, like they say hindsight is 2020, they'll always recall that, which adversity or which problematic situation in their career kind of got the best out of them, and how did they kind of rose to the occasion there, and then reach to the pinnacle of their corporate career, whatever that is. So I believe most often it is the setbacks and it is the challenging situations which seems to get the best out of people's character, as opposed to everything being hunky-dory.
Yeah, one of the series I would recommend to everybody, The Perfect Dance, Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's a beautiful series which talks about that what a sportsman. There are many series. My son was watching one of the series which is on F1 drive failure, something to do with the driver of F1 failure. That's a beautiful series. Beautiful series.
Mm-hmm. The Perfect Dance.
The Perfect Dance, and the one with the F1. I'll tell you. I'll just ask him.
Sure.
The Last Dance, not The Perfect Dance.
The Last Dance. Sorry, The Last Dance.
All right, Doctor, you can talk about the elements of the program.
Yeah, so I think the way we had imagined this to happen is like, if you pick up 1 week, so grit as a subject, if we pick up, then we spend entire week in making them understand. But let me also put this very humbly, that in 1 week character cannot be built, right? So I'm absolutely accepting this fact that it's not something which will change the kid overnight. But what we are trying to do is, if you remember the experiment I did in the beginning, is to bring the character education into focus, right? So once you start focusing on, and once I created interest in your kid's mind and your mind, then you will start pursuing it yourself. And I think at this level of kids who are 10 to 16, the only thing is to how do we create interest in subject like this, right? So that's the endeavor which we will have in these weeks. So we'll talk about the topic. We'll go deeper into the concept by giving some scientific, researches around it, and also talk about how it is applied in real life. And then talk about, how it is actioned by different people. And that's where the suggestion of activities from our side will come in, right? I was telling one of the activities on grit I gave my kid was to peel the garlic. Okay, if you know what I'm saying, it takes a lot of effort for you to peel the garlic. And if I give you around 10, 15, after some time the kid will say, I can't do it because it's over me. But if somebody can do that, and look at it from a perspective that whether they are building their grit around it or not, then it's a very different perspective. The same activity changes in the kid's mind and they start enjoying it. Then you master the concept, and most importantly, in mastering the concept, there is a two-way dialogue between a coach as well as the kids and the parents to talk about some of the things which they encountered did not match with the theory which we talked about, some of the things which actually they enjoyed and want to do more. And that's where the handbook which we will create for them will help them continue that activity or continue that concept for more time. And we will also suggest that these are some of the books, important books you should read about grit, or some of the videos or lectures you should watch, that the way Sunil was talking about. And I feel 30 minutes to 45 minutes is what you can gain their attention. And that's good enough. And then you have an exercise related to the subject, have the debrief, and then you can talk about the subject in action. So if we are talking about grit, then how grit plays in sports world, in normal world, in business world, and in the kids' life themselves. So I think that will cover the session for a particular day. And this is what we repeat for 5 days in a week. And we believe that once it becomes your habit, and once we have done this for 5 or 6 weeks, after that time, character building will come in the focus for the kid as well as the parents. And then that will be the right way to do it.
Perfect. Dr. Ashish will be deploying initially himself and a few of his team members to deliver this program. He will, of course, be coming on a very judicious basis because he's heading that organization and he's doing multiple things. But all the programs will be under his supervision, and closely upUgo shall be designing to ensure that it is delivered to all the children in a seamless manner.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Ashish. Thank you, upUgo team. Thank you. Thanks for the session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.